Let's start with the prompt. We're looking for the choice that completes the text. This is one of our tougher prompts because we need to understand the text well enough to be able to predict what might complete it. So let's start reading. Scientists studying Mars long thought the history of its crust was relatively simple. One reason for this is that the data collected by a spacecraft showed that the crust was largely composed of basalt, likely as a result of volcanic activity that brought about a magma ocean and then cooled to form the planet's surface. A study focused on additional information, analysis of the data collected by the spacecraft, and infrared wavelengths detected that revealed the presence of surprisingly high concentrations of silica in certain regions on Mars. Since a planetary surface that formed in a mostly basalt environment would be unlikely to contain large amounts of silica, they concluded that. So let's go ahead and review. Originally, we're seeing that the data showed a lot of basalt, which would be a result of volcanic activity. But the later analysis found that there were actually high concentrations of silica, and a surface that formed in a basaltic environment would be unlikely to contain large amounts of silica. Then they concluded that maybe the earlier assumption was wrong, that it did not form as a result of volcanic activity. So let's look at the answer choices. A, the information about silica concentrations collected by the spacecraft is likely more reliable. Well, we don't really know which one is more reliable. B, silica concentrations formed from a different process than that which formed from the crusts of other planets. Well, that makes sense because the basalt forms from volcanic activity. So it would make sense for the silica to form from some other activity. So we'll leave that one. C, having a clearer understanding of the composition of the crust and the processes by which it formed will provide more insight into how Earth's crust formed. Well, I think that's obvious. That's not a result of this passage of this research they did. Of course, understanding more clearly is going to help you understand how it formed. But we're looking for something that had to do with them discovering silica instead of basalt. So I think I would get rid of that one. D, the crust formed as a result of other events in addition to the cooling of a magma ocean. So the cooling of the magma ocean was the volcanic activity that had been mentioned before, because there was the volcanic activity, it brought about a magma ocean which cooled, but that would be responsible for silica. What would be responsible? That would be responsible for the basalt. What would be responsible for the silica? It would have to be some other geological event in addition to the volcanic activity and the cooling. So the answer here would be D.